Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jeremiah Bartz, and I had the privilege of working with this week's campers on the greatest hits of math, including, well, I guess we had one peeking through the window earlier. But this week we got to explore all kinds of interesting things, including studying this bottle. It's a bottle that doesn't have an inside, and we looked at lots of other interesting things that this week's campers are going to tell you about. Thank you.
Discuss this week was fractals. A fractal is basically a repeating pattern of shapes. For example, there's the Coke snowflake. The Coke snowflake is when you start out with a triangle, and on each side you add another triangle. And then you keep repeating that over and over until you have a very complicated and rigid shape. We also talked about Mobius strips. A Mobius strip is a loop with a half twist in it. We got to cut up all the Mobius strips this week and have so much fun experiencing with all these new shapes.
There are 5 platonic solids: the cube, the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the icosahedron, and the dodecahedron.
Game of 15 is a card game where the objective is to have 3 cards whose sum add up to 15. The game starts with player 1 picking a card from ace to 9. Player 2 then picks a card without a placement from the remaining cards. Each player picks a card until either all cards are gone or someone gets a sum of 15. When I was playing the game, I honestly thought that it was kind of impossible for player 2 to win without player 1 messing up. But if you arrange the numbers of game of 15 into a magic square, you can play the game like tic-tac-toe, which in the game of tic-tac-toe, if everyone plays perfectly, it can end in a draw.
We did an activity involving soap bubbles this week. This activity demonstrated the shortest path between nodes and objects. We first constructed our own 3D objects, and after dipping them in a bubble solution, we were able to see how the bubbles form the shortest path from node to node.
Tourist tic-tac-toe is like normal tic-tac-toe, but you can win in a special way by placing X's or O's in a way that when drawing a diagonal line, the line goes off and then wraps around the edge of the board, crossing through 3 X's or O's. Similarly, tourist chess is like normal chess, but along with a new setup and only using 9 pieces per player, pieces can wrap around the edge of the board when they are off and continue their move in the same direction.
Graph theory is a mathematical structure that contains nodes, which are vertices and edges between the nodes. It's an area of math that studies graphs and properties. It all started with the Konigsberg Bridge problem. The goal was to walk around the city and cross 7 bridges, but you could only cross each bridge once. Many people pondered over this, but they eventually used graph theory to come to the conclusion that it was impossible.
In the class, we watched the movie Flatland. Flatland gives an interesting insight into how an object of lower dimension would see an object of a higher dimension. It's really cool to explore the possibility of fourth dimensional beings watching us, like how we would be able to watch a 2D world. Unfortunately, the movie was kind of bad.
800 years ago, there lived a mathematician, Leonardo of Pisa, commonly known as Fibonacci. He was the first to write down the Fibonacci sequence, which is an important sequence in mathematics.
You can construct the sequence by adding the two previous numbers to get your next number in the sequence.
For example, numbers 1 and 2 are both 1, so number 3 would be 2.
Yes, and number 4 would be adding 2 and 1, so the answer would be 3. So that's the next one.
So I also want to send a big thank you to our two essays this week, Zach and Winnie. They were a tremendous help throughout the week, and also to the Governor's School for letting us have the GoSciTech class this week. So